Want to touch a bit on the concept of toxic masculinity. Um, there is a lot of angles to take with this. I think it's to a large extent subjective. I really do. Um, I mean, who gets to define what is ideal masculinity, really? A lot of this, of course, comes in the context of today's culture wars, particularly in light of new discussion, new debate around gender identity. Um, I personally think that's going a little bit off the rails, and I say that with great caution because it's so easy nowadays to be accused of bigotry when actually you're just calling for a degree of common sense. So, just for the record, let me say I do not believe there are 30 or 40 or 50 genders. I just don't. And if that offends people, sorry, but that's the way I feel about it. Um, but in terms of masculinity, femininity, I do think there's a lot of talking points to be made around that. Let me just say for the record, and I want to make this very clear early on, I do not believe that almost in the third decade of the 21st century, people should be rigidly confined to social gender roles, right? So I don't have children, but let's say that I did. Let's say that I had a little girl who wanted to grow up to be, say, an astronaut or a police officer or a firefighter. If that was her passion, if she really, really wanted that, I would encourage her. Likewise, if I had a little boy and his passion was in ballet or in nursing or something like that, I would also encourage that. I don't think that people should be rigidly constricted to boys should do this, girls should do that. But I also think it's starting to go a little bit in the other direction now, whereby someone who is, let's say, traditionally masculine or traditionally feminine is automatically shunned as if they're only doing it to conform to a social role. So that's where I take issue with the traction that the current culture wars is taking. In other words, if you have a woman who maybe does want to be a stay-at-home mother, then feminists will immediately say, "Oh, your man's making you do that, or you're just conforming to social expectations." Maybe that's what she wants. And I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, but just to give an example, recently a young Lithuanian couple, the young woman was graduating and her boyfriend proposed to her. Now, feminists immediately pounced on that and attacked him, said he was taking her thunder and he was taking her special moment. But she herself said that that made it all the more special. So that's an example of actually where it can go the other direction, where people think that the only way you can be strong and independent is if you go against what are perceived to be traditional gender roles for whatever reason. The fact of the matter is some males are masculine driven, some women are feminine driven. That is not something sinister and it is not some sort of conspiracy. Um, so I do believe it's going a bit in that other direction. But just to focus here on the issue of masculinity and so-called toxic masculinity, it's a term that we've heard a few times. I can only ultimately say what is my opinion. I can't say this is fact or you have to agree with me. I would consider myself relatively traditional masculine. Um, it's not to say that I'm absolutely rigid about it. For example, I enjoy romantic comedies. Now, that's not something that would be naturally tied to what is traditional masculinity, but I enjoy them. I find them funny. I find them feel good. But in many other areas, I could be tied to what could be perceived as traditional masculinity. I like boxing. Um, in a relationship, I like to be the protector. And I've always been very attracted to feminine women, by which I mean women who, allow me to look after them, allow me to be the gentleman, and not in a clingy, controlling sense, just in a yin yang sense, if I could put it that way.